I was dating a girl and it was going well, but for me, there was things that I did not agree with that were very Western. Things like, hanging out with other guys privately and, going on trips by yourself while hanging out with other men, and just things that I was not comfortable with. And it created conflict, and I ended the relationship. Now, I did not really realize this at the time, but that was a very Muslim thing to do. Like if you have a relationship with a man or you're married or something like that, you shouldn't be hanging out with other dudes. It's just like a basic. And I didn't need to be Muslim to feel that way. And so, that relationship ended and I was very depressed because now I had no one. I still was unmarried. I couldn't see my son all the time. And so my wife, my ex-wife at the time, noticed how depressed I was, and she sent me a tafsir. And it was called Message for the Sick, because I was really, really depressed. And again, I reiterate, I had a lot of blessings in my life. Money, health, things like this, my parents both being alive, and I was still so miserable. And so she sent me this Message for the Sick. I read it. And when I read it, it just made everything come together for me. And I read it, and I said to her, we were actually in the car when I read it, and I said, take me to the masjid. I should have done this a lot sooner. And I went to the masjid and I took Shahada. And everyone was around and they were treating me like I was like a superstar. Like I didn't even understand why at the time. It was, because all your sins are forgiven, everything is forgiven, and you're like the cleanest of them. And, I had noticed before that the Muslims were the nicest people I had ever met. But now I really saw it, and they were so welcoming, and it was an amazing experience, and it felt like all this weight, all these horrible things I had done, all these sins and these things that were not what I believed myself to be as a person, outside of what I wanted my character to be, all these things weighing me down that I felt horrible about and that I felt like I could never, ever make up for, were all gone. And I made a promise that day that I would stick to not committing major haram, meaning like riba, zina, all the major stuff. And I would obviously try my best for the minor. And I would just try to keep that slate as clean as humanly possible, because that I never thought I would have that chance. I never thought I would have that chance to start clean again. And so that is how I changed my mind about Islam. Once I converted or reverted, I said to my wife soon after, I said, listen, you're Muslim, I'm Muslim. I'm a completely different person. Of all things that are permissible, that Allah hates the most is divorce. I said, let's get our family back together. And she agreed, and we did. And we got remarried. We went to the masjid, we did nikah, and then we spent some time in the US. We moved to Costa Rica for a couple years, and then we moved here to Dubai because we wanted to live in a Muslim country where we could easily find halal food and we could easily go and pray. And it's been an amazing life ever since. And I'll tell you, the hardest part of converting was my family. It was convincing my father not to hate me, because, again, American, programmed to hate Muslims. My father is Christian, and let me tell you, he was not happy. It was not a good experience. And over time, I've been able to show him some things that make him question why he and others hate Islam so much. Because I really, truly don't blame him or anyone from America that hates Muslims. If you're watching this, I don't blame you. You were told to hate Muslims. You were programmed. Like, how could I possibly blame you? You grew up and you were taught these people are bad because of A, B, and C. And guess what? A, B, and C are just not true. And do not confuse Islam with Muslims. Just because someone says they're Muslim does not mean they follow Islam. Same thing with Christianity. Just because someone says they're Christian doesn't mean they follow Christianity. Do not take what people do and make that the religion. And so I don't blame you. That was the hardest part. And then finally, what I believe now about Islam that I didn't believe before is simply that it is a religion of peace. And if you truly follow the religion, you will have peace. I never once have to worry about my wife going and having lunch with another man. Like, that's not even a conversation, you know? I don't have to worry about her going out and partying. I don't have to worry about any of the things I had to worry about with women in America. I don't have to worry about my life getting derailed with drugs and alcohol because, mashallah, I have not drank in 3 years. I cannot express enough how good your life will be when you follow the system. And Islam is a beautiful system for peace and happiness and just having your life together.